Hi, my name is Winnie. Welcome to my life's journey. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. I'd like to have your likes and your comments if possible, and for you to share with your family and loved ones. I know when we talk about emotional healing, it's something that is not easily accepted. People would rather avoid it because it's a difficult conversation to have. I mean, it was difficult for me to come and start sharing my stories, and of course what I share here is just what I'm comfortable sharing. I mean, behind the scenes, my friend knows this. I mean, there are deeper things that happened to me, and today I want in my last video I talked about how the challenges, the barriers to our healing, or the challenges that we go through when we're trying to heal. And of course there are other challenges that I actually came across, and one of them is the barriers to healing our emotional wounds, whether the emotions are coming from trauma or the many other things. Because apart from talking about childhood trauma, there are things that we go through as grown-ups that also bring trauma. And the other barriers that I came across was number one, lack of motivation. Sometimes you just wake up and you don't have motivation at all, and then that becomes day 2, day 3, day 4 of lack of motivation. So that can hinder your healing, because when you don't have motivation, it means you can't do the things that you have to do for you to heal. I've noticed that healing journey is more about a proactive journey. It's not waiting. And I've had many people who say that time heals. It's true, time heals to a certain extent, but there are things, especially about trauma, that you have to be deliberate about rewiring your brain. And that takes a proactive kind of approach. So that's why for me, I really don't believe that time heals. I believe the actions that we do within time heal us. Of course, you need the aspect of time, because even for my friendships, I always believe that we need to give it time. For me to be able to know how deep that friendship can be, I need to give it time. So I like to give time to a lot of things, because for me time has always proven, because it will expose who people are, it will expose who we are, it will expose ourselves to them to us, and then we will be able to make a decision. The other barrier is we just don't have a plan. Just, you see, for you, and we are grown-ups. Sometimes we are so busy doing life that we forget. But if you have a plan, you write it down and you have a plan. This is what I'll be doing every Thursday, every Sunday, it becomes very easy for you to be deliberate about your own healing. Who can you speak to about your issues, right? And then also a safety plan. When you're feeling triggered, what is your safety plan? Do you run away? Do you talk about it? Do you rush it? Sometimes I've found myself having this challenge where I'm torn between speaking my mind and walking away. And then when I share, then I have to apologize for sharing. And it's something I'm trying to work out still. And the other one is even to seek legal support, because sometimes when we're talking about maybe an abusive relationship, you want to also seek legal support, or maybe physical abuse, you want to seek legal support. So it's really critical and important to have that plan as well. Okay, and then the other barrier, just an addition to my last video, to our healing, is making excuses. Excuses will never see you heal. That's the truth of the matter. I didn't have time, I'm busy, I'm doing all that. You have to find space to heal in between, because your life is going on, whether you justified in your excuses or not. The last one that I want to share is fear. We are afraid of the new, that we'd rather stick with the old. So that's a problem. It's a barrier to our healing. Yeah. So, and sometimes we're also afraid of drawing the boundaries, and because our healing will take a lot of drawing boundaries, and that's like a must. Yeah, depending of course on the issues that you're dealing with. The last one is not seeking help. We are so afraid that we'll be judged. We're so afraid of other people. We're afraid of asking for help. When people look at you, they look up to you, and it's very hard for you to come out and say, I need help. And it's something personally I've struggled with, but at least I have a couple of friends that I can share, the rawest bit about my heart. And I just want to, of course, also put a shout out to those friends. I have like top 4 friends that I can go to when I have issues, and I can talk about the real issues, and I know that they can take it. They know, they understand, they've done the journey with me, and so it's important to find people who you connect with, who understand where you're coming from as well. And I just want to say that when you're dealing with these barriers, so allow me to go into dealing, how then do we deal with these barriers? I think the first thing that you must understand is that you cannot heal alone. Healing is so much hard work that you need a couple of people to support you. And sometimes your friends may not be your therapist. And there are things that a therapist can help you through that your friends may not be able to help you through. And that's why I'm saying that it's good to have the support of all these people. And friends have their place. Therapists also have their place. The problem with most of us is we try to mix. Our friends are also our therapists. And then I just want to say that the other way to deal with the barrier is don't lose hope. Whatever you do, always tell yourself that you'll always have hope, that one day things will be better. I'm telling you, because there's a lot. Every time when I feel discouraged, which I do, every time when I feel discouraged, I have to remind myself that the version that I am right now, I've never been this version before. And I have to remind myself of so many things that I've been able to conquer through the help of God. I mean, I'm not afraid to say that God has really helped me through this journey to accept the truth, to understand His word, to be able to do a lot of things. Yeah, even to understand some of the things that I would never have understood by my own power or strength. The other way to deal with barriers is to admit what was done to you. The reason why so many of us are not even able to deal with our issues is because we have never accepted what was done to us. We were raped, we were tortured, we were physically abused. We've never really acknowledged that. It's just buried inside of ourselves. There was a time I was talking to a certain lady, and she was telling me that for the first time she's talking about the issues that she went through when she was a child, and she's never told anyone that story. So you see, it's very hard for us to share as grown-ups, and that can be a barrier to our healing. And that's why it's important to always teach yourself to find healthy spaces for you to start sharing. Start small. You don't have to start by sharing the whole story. It can be overwhelming. Yeah. And then the other one is rid yourself of your self-imposed barriers. So ask people around you to give you feedback, what they think of you, and be sober enough, be objective enough to be able to see what are the self-imposed beliefs that trauma, that experience left you with. Because sometimes the only person we are fighting against is a version of ourselves that we know. So it's important for you to be able to understand what were your self-imposed, judgments, what were your self-imposed barriers. One of them is, for me, I've always said that I don't like dogs. I don't want dogs in my life. I didn't realize that was actually my disliking of dogs was actually hiding behind fear. And I had to go to the root of the fear to address, why am I afraid? Fear has actually paralyzed a lot of things in my life. I cannot even begin to say. And I realized that right now I'm actually on a journey to dealing with it. And it's been such a difficult journey, yet so fulfilling, because I've actually seen myself making progress, day in, day out. And then the other one is talk about the abuse and the trauma in a courageous way. It's okay. Just learn to say that before you find a person who's safe, you may come across people who are unsafe, who, in their defense, they don't know about trauma. So it's important to communicate what your needs are in such instances. Yeah. The other way to deal with the barriers to our healing is, even as you're doing this journey, you must know that feelings of shame, guilt, and embarrassment will come out. Because when you tell your story, it is a funny story. When you're talking about maybe things that are so deep about your family and things that were done to you, they can bring a sense of shame, embarrassment, and even guilt, because you're feeling guilty for talking about your family, for example, and you're feeling maybe ashamed because of what you went through. Or maybe you're feeling embarrassed because it's things that when you say out loud, then they really sound so bad. So it's important to know that these feelings will surface, and it's okay for you to go with it. And that's why it's important for you to just say it's okay even if it doesn't make sense to someone else. Because so many times, if you're like me, I went through life trying to make things make sense to other people for them to make sense to me. That is, I call it self-abandonment. I think it's self-abandonment. So I used to abandon myself to make other people understand it first before I can accept it as normal. There's nothing like normal or not normal when you're dealing with trauma. Just learn to be there for yourself and to take yourself a step by step. Yeah. The other way to deal with the barrier is to have a plan. Okay? Have a plan to heal. Have a safety plan to know when you're triggered, what do you resort to? And how can you make it different? Have a plan to understand that when certain things will happen to you and or maybe your child, and you want to take legal action, it's okay. There's no shame in taking legal action against a perpetrator. Yeah. And then just have a financial plan as well. Always save enough. If you're going through a certain situation that you want to get out of, if you've gone through trauma as a child and you are afraid maybe of being poor, for example, please always save. Have a financial plan. Start saving so that you don't give yourself a lot of pressure. So the other thing also I want to say is that also have a social support plan. Always have people that you meet on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, to talk about the issues, your triggers, the things you've gone through. And when you're talking about the people you keep close to you, please keep close to you people that you can talk about the truth and things that are happening to you. You don't have to be mean about it, but people you can tell, today I'm having a rough day and I'm not able to meet, and they will not take it personally. Okay? Have a way, understand your body, understand your mind, understand yourself enough to know how to cope when you're going through moments where your own child triggers you, when you're going through moments where your boss triggers you, when you're going through moments where your colleagues trigger you, when you're going through moments through others trigger you? Because at the end of the day, we have so many people who resigned because they were triggered. And then later on, when the trigger is gone, you realize you actually made a permanent decision from a temporary trigger. So that we want to avoid that, because the healing journey is lifelong. Part of the journey I've realized is that the more I keep on healing, the more it's opening up, and the more I realize what I had to endure, and the more I realize how deeply it had affected me. So it's a lifelong journey. So brace yourself, prepare yourself. The other way also that you can conquer the barriers is to seek therapy and a support group. I think I've mentioned that a couple of times. It's important to seek people who've gone through the same situation. And allow me to mention something. When you're seeking a group that has gone through the same situation, there's a difference between a group that just likes to meet and sit and feel like victims, and then there's the difference between also another group that meets and seeks and genuinely wants to grow and to become better. So please seek a group that is healthy for your journey ahead, because you want to be making progress and not just to talk about it and sit in one space and feel like victims and feel like at least we have. There's a reason why people say that misery loves company. Please don't sit in misery. Sit with people who want to ride on those traumas to actually make them better for tomorrow, and to seek their purpose and to do that which they have to do. So, and then deal with your mindset. Obviously, when you go through trauma, there's a way that your mindset there's a way that you are conditioned to think, there's a way that you're conditioned to look at things. Even a person can come to tell you that they love you, but you may not be able to, you may think they're pretending, because that is new to you. So, and let me tell you a story. My best friend who lives in Mombasa, one time, she was very, I don't know, I want to call her those touchy people, but when she's talking about her feelings, she's likely to go into her feelings and all that. But me, I was very detached. I didn't want to get close to people, and now you can imagine how we really struggle with our friendship. So that's why I'm saying that deal with your mindset. I had to deal with my mindset even for us to be friends. In fact, if I had not dealt with my mindset, I don't think we'd be friends right now. Right now, we're even better friends because I had to deal with that kind of mindset, right? It's important to understand the other mindsets, how the other situations that happened to you in your childhood or even other situations have shaped how you think and deal with it, so that you don't have something barring your healing. Because if there's something barring your healing, it means it will bar your life as well. It's going to affect all the other aspects of your life, finances and all that. The other way also is to find someone to pray with you. I believe in prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. Prayer has taken me through things that I could not physically have gotten out of. So find people to pray with you, to sit with you. Even if you're not a believer, find people to pray with you. It's important. Prayer is so important. Prayer for me is a belief that there's a power in heaven, a God in heaven, Jesus Christ, who can save me, who can change me, who can help me. The other one is also to just release the blame. Don't blame people. I know your parents did what, I know your spouse did what, but you have to get to a place where, and I know this will feel bad, because the first time I had to release the blame, I cried. I was angry. Why do I have to release the blame, and they're the ones who caused me this pain? So learn to release the blame so that you can start healing. You can take responsibility of your life. Take back that power so that you can start your own healing journey, all right? And forgive. I want to say that forgiveness is not something you just wake up and you do. Yes, you will make the decision, but the process will take longer and different for all of us. So just keep on forgiving again and again and releasing that person. Someone said that forgiveness is releasing the prisoner only to realize the prisoner was you. So please forgive. The other way also is treat your healing as a process. So every day, even as you fall back, as you meet triggers, go back and start and continue. It will not be starting, literally. I've seen so many things that I failed in. The more I put in effort, the more I was making progress. So just learn to put in more effort, learn to keep on understanding that healing is a process, and sometimes it may take longer than you anticipated. Keep at it. You will see the little progress that you make, and they will make you proud. Okay? And lastly, I want to say, deal with any fears that you have of leaving the familiar. You know, sometimes our trauma, the effects of our trauma can feel so familiar that we don't know how else to be. You're just used to being angry, you don't know how else to be. But I want to tell you that there's light at the end of the tunnel. You don't have to sit in the darkness. You don't have to think of the worst. You don't have to stay and to stay in the worst just because that is what you know. No, there's always life at the end of your decision for you to heal. So feel free to comment, to like, to share what your experience has been. So, but at the end of the day, you only have you. If you stop in between because of challenges, then would you rather live a miserable life or to even try? Sometimes the healing feels so bad, even than the pain, the trauma itself, but it's only temporary. You see, I'd rather feel the pain of saving, but then later I enjoy the money, yeah? Rather than saying, saving is too painful, let me not save at all. Yeah, so healing is kind of the same. So I hope that you've learned something. God bless you. In the next few videos, I'm going to talk about how trauma affects your adult life in terms of even interviews. I'll tell you a story of how I went for an interview and how I just felt not good enough and how that affected my interview. So thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Please share with your family and friends, and let's learn together. Thank you.